Hey all, today we are going to talk about some new angle pairs, and these angle pairs are formed by a special scenario where we have a special way lines intersect. And so here, the first thing we're going to talk about is what a transversal is. A transversal is any line that crosses two or more lines. So if you look at this picture I have here, I have this yellow line, and I have, we'll call it a pink line, and it's being intersected by this green line. And this green line that's crossing both the yellow and the pink, we would call a transversal. And you can see that it creates a bunch of angles. We can have more lines that it intersects. Right now, we're just going to look at two intersected lines. And each line that gets intersected, there are four angles created by the transversal and that line. So the green transversal and the yellow line make four angles. The green transversal and the pink line make four angles. And we also create these sort of boundaries. In between or interior of this picture is between my lines being intersected. So between my yellow and pink line is my interior of the picture. And so you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4 angles that are interior. And then my exterior is outside. And you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 angles that are exterior outside of the lines that are being intersected by the transversal. And so we have two sort of locations that angles can be. They can be interior or they can be exterior. We can also talk about being on the same side or alternate sides. So when we're talking about angle pairs in this scenario, we're always going to have one angle that's formed by one line, so in this case our yellow line, it's not always going to be yellow, and one angle that's formed by the pink line. So when we're matching up pairs, there's always going to be one angle from this part of the picture and one angle from this part of the picture. When we're talking about is it on the same side or is it alternate sides, which means in another way opposite, we're referring to is it on the same side of this transversal or is it on alternate sides. So I have four angles here on this side of the transversal and four on this side. So when we're talking about same side, we're talking about angles that are on the same side of the transversal. When we're talking about alternate sides, we're talking about angles that are on opposite sides of the transversal. So we're going to be combining these two ideas, interior, exterior, and same side alternate, to create special angle pair relationships. The first one would be alternate interior angles. So right now we are working with the inside of our picture. And we always want to know which line is the transversal. And so when I talk about angle pairs, I'm always going to have one from this grouping and one from this grouping. So if we're looking at alternate interior angles, we're looking at angles that are in between the two lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. And I got to take one from each group. So here we have angle 4 and angle 6. And then we have angle 5 and angle 3. I apologize if that became a little messy. One of our angles in the angle pair comes from what was our yellow line and the transversal making angles, and one angle always comes from the pink line. And then they have to be interior, so they're in between, and they have to be on opposite sides, alternate sides, and so it forces us into these pairings. If I'm looking at exterior angles, I'm looking outside of the two lines. I'm trying to be consistent with the way I highlight these or color these. So I'm looking at these four angles are exterior angles. and I want to pair them up by them being on alternate sides of the transversal. I need to take one of these two and pair it with one of these two. So alternate sides of the transversal would be angle 1 and angle 7, and then angle 8 and angle 2. Then we could look at angles that are on the same side. And of course, same side means same side of the transversal. Interior means in between the two lines. So I'm going to do less scribbling on this one. So if they're on the same side and they're interior, we're looking at angle 4 and angle 5. And we are looking at angle 3 and angle 6. Still, I have one angle for each pair that comes from the yellow line and one angle from each pair that comes from the pink line. But this time they are interior and on the same side of the transversal. Similarly, we can do same side exterior angles. This time we're just looking at the angles outside of these lines. They're going to be on the same side of the transversal. And one's going to be made by the yellow line, one's made by the pink. So same side exterior, if I'm on the left side of my transversal, it's angle 1 and angle 8. If I am on the right side of my transversal, it's angle 2 and angle 7. Our last type of angle pair is a little different. Our corresponding angles. Corresponding sort of means in the same spot or in the same position. So we have our yellow line and our pink line. And it might be helpful if you have different colors to actually do this. You don't have to choose the same as me. You can choose different colors. When I look at the angles formed by my yellow and my green transversal, I sort of have an angle here that is like the top left. This one is the top right. Here's the bottom left and the bottom right. And I have that same scenario here. I have a top left, a top right, bottom left, bottom right. And so corresponding means in the same position. I still want one angle that's formed by the yellow line and one angle that's formed by the pink line. I'm not specifying interior, exterior, same side, alternate side. I want them in the same position. So if I look, my top left angles are in the same position. They correspond. My top right angles are in the same position. They correspond. And so on and so forth. Bottom left and then bottom right. Those are our corresponding angles. You notice there are 4 pairs of corresponding angles, whereas in the previous ones, we only had 2 pairs each. So as always, if you need a little bit of clarification or you need some help, please do ask one of us for help. We're glad to help you. Make sure you stick around and answer the questions at the end of this video to show us what you learned and to get full credit. While you're working through those, if you need help, we'd be happy to help. Take your time and good luck.